Darkness settled over the village of Aganre like a heavy blanket. One by one, doors were bolted shut. Fires were reduced to faint embers. Even the dogs lay still, sensing danger in the air. The village did not sleep at night anymore. Fear had become a habit, a nightly visitor that no one dared to challenge. Inside the huts, families huddled together in silence. Mothers pulled their children close. Elders pressed their backs against clay walls, listening for footsteps outside. Every sound carried weight. Every shadow felt alive. Everyone knew who caused this fear, even if his name was not spoken aloud. From the edge of the forest, a figure moved slowly toward the village. Koru, a warrior marked by scars and hardened by battles long forgotten. His sword reflected the moonlight as he walked with confidence, knowing his presence alone was enough to bend the village to his will. Where he stepped, courage disappeared. Morning came, but peace did not. The village woke pretending everything was normal. Courtyards were swept. Water was fetched from the stream. Smiles appeared, thin and forced. Eyes constantly searched the paths leading into the village. Fear did not leave with the night. It simply learned to hide. Among the villagers moved a small boy named Sagan, quiet, unnoticed. He carried no weapon and spoke little, yet his eyes followed everything. He watched how people reacted when Koru's name was whispered. He noticed the paths the warrior favored, the times he appeared, the way fear shaped the village's routine. Under a large tree, the elders gathered in low voices. They spoke of the past, of battles far away, of a warrior who was once powerful and proud, then defeated and broken. They spoke of Koru's anger, how it followed him like a shadow. Sigun stayed nearby, pretending not to listen, while every word settled deeply in his mind. In his thoughts, the image of Koru changed, no longer just a monster, but a man shaped by loss and pride. A man who relied on fear to survive. Sigun began to understand something the others did not. Strength alone was not what made Koru dangerous. That night, when the village grew quiet again, Segun slipped outside. The moon lit his path as he walked carefully between huts, memorizing every turn. He moved beyond the village and into the forest, where the ground softened and the paths narrowed. He tested the earth beneath his feet. Loose soil, slippery roots, low branches. He imagined heavy footsteps chasing him, imagined where those footsteps would fail. He did not train his body for power, but his mind for precision. When Segun returned to the village, his face was calm. Nothing about him had changed on the outside, but inside a decision had already been made. The boy everyone overlooked was no longer just watching. He was ready. The night returned, heavy and quiet, as if the village itself was holding its breath. Then the sound came. Slow footsteps, measured, certain. Koru had returned. Fear moved faster than his shadow as villagers disappeared into their huts, doors slamming shut behind them. But this time, someone remained outside. Segun stepped into the open space at the center of the village. He stood still, small against the darkness, waiting. When Koru saw him, his lips curled into a smile. A boy, alone, an easy target. Yet something in the boy's eyes made the warrior hesitate. "You fear real warriors," Segun said calmly. The words struck deeper than any blade. Koru's smile faded. Rage replaced confusion. With a shout, he charged forward, sword raised, expecting the boy to run like all the others. Segun turned and ran, not in panic, but with purpose. He led Koru toward the eastern path, where the ground dipped and twisted. Branches whipped past as the forest swallowed them. Koru swung wildly, his blade biting into trees, his anger slowing him more than the terrain. The ground shifted beneath the warrior's feet. Loose soil gave way. His step faltered. In that moment, Segun moved, quick, precise. He struck the sword with all his strength and skill. Metal clattered against earth, the sound sharp and final. Koru froze. For the first time in years, his hands were empty. Breathing hard, the warrior dropped to one knee. Not defeated by force, but by a boy who refused to be afraid. The forest stood silent, bearing witness. Segun faced him, steady and unshaken. "Leave," he said, "and never return." For a long moment, Koru did not move. Then slowly he rose. His power was gone. His fear had turned inward. Without a word, he turned his back on the village and disappeared into the darkness of the forest. Silence followed, a different kind of silence, lighter, free. When morning came, the village awoke to something unfamiliar. Peace. Doors opened wide. Children ran laughing into the sunlight. Elders stood tall, disbelief slowly giving way to relief. Sagun walked through the village as he always had, quiet, unnoticed. But everything had changed. The fear that ruled Aganre was gone, not because of a stronger warrior, but because a small boy refused to run. And the village learned a truth that would be told for generations. Courage does not always shout. Sometimes it simply stands its ground. And that is enough to change everything.